All right, let's dig right into this question. Why your kid isn't getting noticed by coaches, even if they're good. Talent gets you seen, pressure, execution gets you picked. I was an athlete growing up through the system. I'm a hockey mom going through it with my own child, and this is a question that I hear over and over again in the rinks. It runs through my own head, and so I decided to dig really deep into it. Now we're going to push politics aside and the the outside things that we can't control, and we're going to go right to the core of what we can control, which is talk the way we work with our kids and the way your kid works with themselves and self coaches them. And the bottom line is what I've found as I dug into this and built this system of compete code is if your kid can't execute under pressure, coaches won't trust them, no matter how skilled they are. So you might think, okay, my kids are good. You've seen the skill, the work ethic, the grind, but the coaches aren't noticing them. And the story in your head might be the politics. They missed it. They're just picking favorites. And here's the truth. Coaches see everything. What they don't see is the proof that your kid is pressure ready if your kid isn't showing it in that tryout. Because that's the only kind of athlete that they can bet on. So let me say it clearly. Talent might get your kid on a tryout list, but it doesn't get them picked. Coaches don't pick potential, they pick proof. Proof that your kid competes when it's hard, proof that they don't collapse after mistakes, proof that they respond instead of react. And most kids don't have that proof, not because they aren't capable, but because they've only trained skill. And then skill without pressure execution, it doesn't translate when it counts because they haven't been practicing it. They haven't been doing those reps under pressure in practice. So most parents think coaches are grading skill, but they're not. They're grading recovery speed. How fast do you reset after failure? Composure. What does your body say under stress? Or trust factor? Can I put you in when it's 2-2 with 30 seconds left? If you collapse in those micro moments, you're out. And here's the twist. Coaches are watching when you're not expecting them to. How do you walk back to the bench after a bad shift? How do you respond when another player messes up? Do you own your mistakes or do you hide from them? Coaches see all of that, and they're not missing anything. They just don't see what you're hoping they will. So proof is what you want them to see. Proof that your kid can lead under pressure. So let me give you some real world examples. We had an athlete, high skill, great shot, fast skater. But every time the game got tight, he disappeared. Not lazy, just uncertain. And that body language, hands on the knees, quick glances to the bench, no vocal presence, slouched. He became invisible. And now here's what we did. We trained pressure reps and we built mistake recovery into the drills. And we recorded his response time. So in 6 weeks, that kid was calling out plays, resetting after mistakes and skating harder in the final minute than the first. He didn't change skills. He changed how he executed under pressure. And that's what coaches want, but you have to train for it. You got to do it every single time you're training. So how do you build visibility that coaches can't ignore? Well, you need to train these 3 things. Number 1, presence under pressure. Number 2, reset speed. And number 3, competitive body language. So let's talk about presence under pressure. So presence equals, do you show up calm, locked in, and vocal when it matters? You train this by adding consequence plus a time constraint to do the drills. You add that consequence plus time constraint to the drills. And then reset speed equals mistake happens. How fast do you mentally and physically reset? Look at the greats and how they do that. Run drills where they have to make a mistake and then immediately execute a second rep. Watch the hockey videos or watch the playoffs or watch the hockey games. And instead of just looking for, the great plays, look at how they reset after they make a mistake. It's powerful learning for kids and for us as adults. Body language is the third thing. And that equals, do you move like a leader? Shoulders back, no flinching and no drag. Coaches are reading your body more than your stick. So every one of these can be trained, but you've got to build it on purpose. You can't hope for presence. You have to rep it out. You have to rep every single time and not waste those reps. This is what separates the good from picked. Everyone at the top level is skilled. That's expected. What coaches are really scouting is, can I trust this kid when it's 2-2 and the other team is hunting? And if your kid doesn't look like the answer to that question, they probably won't be the choice. So not because the coach doesn't like them, not because the system is unfair, because the moment is too big to risk a guess. So if you want your kid to start getting noticed, train the thing that makes them undeniable under pressure. So here's what to ask your kid this week. What's one moment where you know you disappeared? What did your body say during that moment? And what would a coach see if they were watching just you for 60 seconds in the middle of the chaos? That's what's getting evaluated. Not the drills, not the talent, but how you show up when it's hard. And you can train that, or you can keep hoping they get lucky. The kids who get picked aren't always the best. They're just the ones who don't disappear when it matters.